Hello there, this is TP877 and today I'll be having a bit of a look at some games that came out in September. This video is a few days late, my apologies for that. I don't intend to let it happen again. So this time I'll be looking at 20 games, so a decent little amount. So let's get started, shall we? So here are the 20 that I'll be looking at today. So let's get started. Hollow Knight Silksong by Team Cherry. This is a sequel to the popular 2017 indie title. Discover and explore the fallen kingdom of Falloon and battle against various insects and bugs. You've seen this recommended by other players, played by other streamers, and in fairness probably by everyone else. It's one of the bigger titles of this year. So let's have a look at the trailer, shall we? So that is Hollow Knight Silksong, available for Windows, Mac, Linux, PS4 and PS5, Xbox One and Xbox X, Series X and S, the Switch and the Switch 2, $19.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10 or Ubuntu 22.04 or 24.04, an Intel Core i3 3240, which is pretty old at this point, or an AMD FX 4300, 4GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 560 Ti, or an AMD Radeon HD 7750, and 8GB of free space. Mac side, Mac OS 11 Big Sur, Intel Core i3 or an Apple M1, 4GB RAM, a metal capable GPU, and 8GB of free space. So let's move on to the next one, which is Dark Hunting Ground by BingX. It's a early access in November last year and released in September. It's a very charming, minimalistic, top-down action RPG. Descend into the void and experiment with 6 different classes as you battle bosses and try to find the source of the corruption. So let's have a look. So that's Dark Hunting Ground, available for Windows and Mac, $12.99 US. System requirements are Windows 7, 8GB RAM and 1GB of free space. Mac side, Mac OS 10, just a little bit vague. Apple M1 or Intel Core M CPU, 8GB RAM and 1GB of free space. So let's move on. Dead Reset by Dark Rift Horror and Wales Interactive. Now this one is a horror full motion video title. Dr. Mason is kidnapped, brought to a underwater facility, and forced to try to extract a parasite from a patient. As you can imagine, it doesn't exactly turn out the best. There's a decent bit of blood and gore on it, of course, so let's have a look.
Peggy 18.
Mason, 34, former surgeon at Westwood Hospital.
I'll bullet point this for you. I'm trapped in a time loop. That thing kills everyone. And every time it does, I wake up here and we go through this all over again.
So if we really are going to die, what do you suggest we do to avoid it?
We run like hell. What else aren't you telling me?
Tell him, Fern, or I swear to God I'll kill you right now!
There's still so much you don't know.
What did your people do to me? We need to run.
So that is Dead Reset, available for Windows, Mac, PS4, PS5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, iOS, Android and Switch, $14.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10, 2GHz CPU, 2GB RAM, a DirectX capable GPU, and 14GB of free space. But these FMV titles, they're usually a bit larger, but in return they don't really need the best rig because they're mostly just video. So on the Mac side, Mac OS 11, Big Sur, 2GHz CPU, 2GB RAM, integrated GPU, and 14GB of space. So let's continue. Coal LLC by Bye Ocean. This is a roguelite mining game featuring quotas, various enemies hiding in the mines, time limits and subtle methods of extracting coal such as miniguns, flamethrowers and explosives. So let's have a look. So that's Coal LLC, available for Windows, Mac, $14.99 US. System requirements are Windows 7, Intel Core i5 760, or an AMD Athlon. They're both pretty old at this point, so you shouldn't have to worry. 4GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 550 Ti, running AMD Radeon HD 6850, and 3GB of free space. Backside macOS 12 Nozori, Intel Core i5 CPU, 8GB RAM, Intel Iris Pro, and 2GB of free space. So it's a little bit smaller on the Mac side, it seems. So that's that one. Let's have a look at the next one, which is MAHOUTEQ by motijan. Now, I wasn't able to get the trailer to work with this one. Not entirely sure why, just wouldn't let me download it. So this is a short comedy visual novel about a girl that has to find a job to buy a magical girl figure, only to end up joining a group of magical girls herself. So it's a bit of an odd little one, but it's reviewed quite well. So that one is for Windows, Mac and Linux, $1.99 US. System requirements are Windows 7, 2 GHz CPU, 4 GB RAM, Open GL3 capable GPU, and 300 MB of free space. On the Mac side, Mac OS X 10.10 Yosemite, 2 GHz CPU, 4 GB RAM, Open GL capable GPU, and 300 MB of free space. You shouldn't have any trouble on it, to be honest. Okay, next up, Little Witch in the Woods by Sunny Side Up. This one entered early access over 3 years ago. Explore forests, cliffs, and caves as Ellie and a princess witch as she fulfills the 10 people's requests and pets cats. There have been a few reviews that mention that the English translation is rough in some places, so just be aware of that. So let's have a look. So that's Little Witch in the Woods. So that one is available for Windows and Mac, and Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. $15.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10, 64-bit, dual core processor at 2.5 GHz, which is basically all of them at this point. 8 GB RAM, a GeForce GTX 560, that's pretty old at this point, and 2 GB of free space. Similar to Mac side, except instead of macOS 10.0 or later. And yes, so you shouldn't have any trouble on it. Next up, RAM, Random Access Memory by Xylem Studios. This one is at early access in November last year. It's a roguelite where you control enemies and make them fight each other, and quickly move to other foes before your current host's body collapses. So let's have a look. So that's RAM, random access Mayhem, available for Windows Mac, $14.99 US. System requirements: Windows 10, Intel Core i3 CPU, 2GB RAM, integrated GPU, and 3GB of RAM space. Similar on the Mac side, macOS 10.12 Sierra, Apple M1 or Intel CPU, 2GB RAM, integrated GPU, and 3GB of RAM space. Cubic Cosmos by Inkstone Atelier. This one is early access in September. This and is a roguelike card game / tower defense game with over 200 different cards, 40 relics to 9 heroes, as well as the ability to share your deck online. And expected to be in early access for between 6 months to 1 year. So let's have a look.
Another roguelike deck builder in 2025? With lasting buffs and waves of enemies to mow down? Here we have an ordinary card. Click and drag it to destroy an ordinary enemy. But here comes the next wave of enemies, advancing like a horde of zombies. Guess we're screwed. Unless we give the card some lasting attribute and skill buffs. Let's give it a couple of friends on either side too. Now we sit back and watch the show. Chain together combos to wipe out whole rows of enemies. This is Cubic Cosmos, a roguelike tower defense card game. In Cubic Cosmos, you can pair cards with relics for devastating synergies. With countless combinations on offer, the possibilities are endless. Take this strategy. Whenever your pawns take damage, they deal even more. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Or this one, which majors on auto-casting sorceries. When you draw a card, it plays automatically, leading to a tidal wave of devastating attacks. Or this strategy. It's perfect, unbeatable, unsurpassable, unmatched. Play one card and it summons a whole team. Trigger skill after skill and tear the enemy to pieces. And there's plenty more strategies just waiting to be discovered. Finally, when your run is over, there's the amazing doll system. Hide your pawns inside dolls, and they'll show up in your next run.
Cubic Cosmos goes on sale September 17th. Throw down cards, mow down hordes, and slay your way to victory.
So that one is Cubic Cosmos, available for Windows Mac, $12.79 US. System requirements: Windows 7, Intel Core i5 760, or an AMD Athlon, 4GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 550 Ti, or an AMD Radeon HD 6850, and 3GB of space. On the Mac side, macOS 12 Monterey, Intel Core i5, 8GB of RAM, I'll get it that, Intel Iris Pro GPU, and 2GB of free space. Next up, ShapeHero Factory by Asobism Co Limited. I probably butchered that. This one is early access in November last year. Build your factory to construct shape-based heroes to combat invading enemies and discover relics and knowledge to boost your next run. So let's have a look, shall we? So that one is available for Windows Mac and the PS5, as well as the Switch and the Switch 2. And it's $23.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10, 64-bit, Intel Core i5 8400, 8GB RAM, Intel UHD graphics 630, and 1GB of free space. So you shouldn't have any trouble running it. Next side, macOS 10.14, Mojave, Apple Silicon or a Intel CPU, put it that way, 8GB RAM, metal capable GPU, and 1GB of free space. Next up, Platypus Reclayed by Claymatic Games. This one, I missed. Right, I didn't correct the early access thing there. It's fully released as far as I know. This is a revamp of the original, 2-decade-old game, hard to believe, with new weapons, different stages, 2-player multiplayer, and other challenges. It's a very pretty stop motion clay shoot up, well worth having a look at. So let's have a look see.
起来，打麻将。
凡人，你的排气能过本王这关吗？
So that is Platypus Reclayed, available for Windows, Mac, PS4 and PS5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, and the Switch, and it is $14.77 US. System requirements weren't really given, but I'll read out what they were. Windows 7 Service Pack 1 or Windows 10, or macOS 10.13 Ventura. You shouldn't have any trouble running it on anything, say, within the last 5 years though. So, let's continue on. Deadeye Deepfake Simulacrum by nodayshalleraseyou. This one entered early access back in 2022. It's a top-down hacker slash shooter where you can control terminals and enemies and manipulate time while exploring a in-depth story. It's been described as a bit of a mix between Deus Ex and a few other titles. It is pretty hard though, going by the reviews, so you might want to be aware of that. So let's have a look. as you can tell, that trailer's a little bit odd, but sorry. Anyway, so available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. $12.99 US. System requirements are Windows 7, Service Pack 1, or Windows 8, or Windows 10, or Ubuntu 18, version 18, or CentOS, or SteamOS. CPU, Intel Core i5, 4GB RAM, DirectX 10 or OpenGL or Vulkan capable GPU, which is basically all of them, 2GB free space. Similar on the Mac side, macOS 10.12, Intel Core i5, 4GB RAM. I don't think you'd find a DirectX capable GPU on the Mac side, but I'd assume just go with something, well, anything released in the past 10 years or so, and 2GB of free space. So you shouldn't have any trouble on it. Next up, I Hate My Waifu Streamer by Nozori Games. Get the attractive streamer's attention through chats, comments, donations, and don't hate her. It's a bit of a odd little, well, I can't really say little, but it was a bit hard. I was struggling a bit hard to describe it, but it could relate to some of the viewers out there. Now, there is a warning, there's themes of cyberbullying, violence, self-harm, so if you're not the best with that, yeah. Okay, understand. So, let's have a look. 3, 2, 1. Apologies, I didn't expect it to be quite that loud. I even turned it down a little bit, but anyway. So, Windows, Mac, Linux, $9.99 US. System requirements, they're really not too bad. They're pretty on the lower side. Windows 10, 11, 64-bit, or Linux, x86, 64. 1.2 GHz CPU, 1 GB RAM, 1 GB of free space. Similar on the Mac side, macOS 10.6, Snyder, 1.2 GHz CPU, 1 GB RAM, 1 GB of free space. So, let's move on. I'm tempted to make a comment about streamers, but I won't. Partly because I am one. Heartbeat in Thailand by RainbowGame. This is the second FMV I'm covering this time. This is a FMV dating sim set in Bangkok, Thailand. You get to meet a variety of interesting young women, including a ghost, a gang leader, and a performer. There's some content warnings for self-sacrifice, violence, and drug use. So, yes. So, let's have a look. Now, the trailer is in Chinese, but again, this did pretty well. So, let's have a look.
萨瓦迪哈，
这是这么刺激
小哥，你看我穿这身怎么样？老公，
你是小水？
比心，比心，比心，比心！表哥，欢迎你来泰国。你在干什么？
这，
喂，醒醒，醒醒！你想干什么？想干嘛？
我没看错吧？唐人街第一窝囊废，竟然为了一个女人出头啊！谁 谁呀，急急忙忙的？
你现在就是我的小奴隶，必须帮我。
你觉得怎么样？如果你敢把这件事情说出去，你知道会有什么后果？
谁啊？这屋子有点邪门啊！
真以为我不敢杀你啊？有人逃跑！
解释一下我的铁卫步。
我好像晕奶了。
加油！表现得不错。你们在干什么？这种地方一般都藏着天大秘密。快点给我出去！别再伤害我女儿！
都怪我太笨，总是相信别人的话。
老公，老公，
可以请我喝一杯吗？
别闹了。
So that is Heartbeat in Thailand. They actually did play it to Thailand to record it. It attracted a bit of attention over there. So Windows and Mac $9.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10, Intel Core i3, 4GB RAM, a dedicated GPU, and 45GB of free space. Mac side macOS 11 Big Sur, Intel Core i3, 4GB RAM, a dedicated GPU. I reckon you'd get away with the M series as well, and 45GB of free space, a little bit on the larger side. Next up, A Gentleman's Dispute by Blast Furnace Games. This is a multiplayer party brawler with a variety of destructible arenas and civilized weapons like flamethrowers and cannons, of course. So let's have a look. So that is a Gentleman's Dispute, up to 8 players with it. Available for Windows Mac, $7.99 US. System requirements are Windows 7, Intel Core i3 2nd generation, which is about 12 years old at this point, or AMD A6. 4GB RAM. The GPUs are pretty old by this point, so I'd say anything within the last 10 years. 4GB free space. And the Mac side's pretty similar. macOS 10.13 Hsia, Apple M1 or Intel Core i3, 4GB RAM. Anything within the past, I'd say, 10 years for the GPU, and 2GB free space. I'd go with 4 just to be sure. Next up, Witchy Business by RogueLite Interactive. This is a hand-drawn job simulator game where you rescue cats, create potions for various customers, attend to your garden, upgrade your equipment, and meet other witches. So let's have a look. So that is Witchy Business, and is available for Windows, Mac and Linux, $14.99 US. System requirements are Windows 7, 64-bit, or Ubuntu 12.04 or SteamOS. CPU, Intel Pentium G860, which is about 10 years old at this point, I reckon, off the top of my head. 8 to 10. 1 GB of RAM. NVIDIA GeForce 840M, which is pretty ancient to be honest. 1 GB free space. On the Mac side, macOS X 10.6 Stone Leopard, Apple Intel CPU, 1 GB RAM, 128 MB GPU, and 1 GB free space. You should think of it like this: if you have an watch this video, you're able to play the game. Cozy Island by LazyFish Studio. This is a multiplayer island exploration game with a variety of activities like farming, fishing, building and soccer. There's a couple of rough edges according to some reviews, but it's still worth a look. So let's have a look see. I wasn't quite sure what I was expecting from the trailer, but it wasn't that. So, platforms: Windows and Mac, $8.99 US. System requirements: Windows 10, 64-bit, or Intel Core i5 10400, AMD Ryzen 3 4100, 8 GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960, or AMD Radeon R9 380, and 2 GB free space, so you shouldn't have any trouble running it. On the Mac side, macOS X 10.7 Lion, Intel Core i5 from 2019, or Apple M1, 8 GB RAM, and AMD Radeon Pro 560X, or Apple M1, and 2 GB free space. You shouldn't have any trouble running it. Just like I shouldn't have any trouble reading this out, but I am. It Has My Face by NightByte Games. It's entered early access in September. This is a first-person horror roguelike where you have to find and eliminate your doppelganger before they find and eliminate you. It has 1v1 multiplayer and is expected to be in early access for about 3 to 6 months. So let's have a look see. So some interesting creatures there. Okay, so available for Windows, Mac and Linux, $9.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10 or Ubuntu 24.04, Intel i5 3570K, 8GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970, and 2GB of free space. Mac side, macOS 11 Big Sur, Apple M1 or Intel i5 4570, 8GB RAM, Apple M1 or NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970, and 2GB of free space. You shouldn't have any trouble on it. So let's continue. Consume Me by Jenny Jiao Hsia, AP Thomson, G.N. Lee, Violet WP, and Ken Coda Snyder. This is a visual novel / teenage go simulation RPG covering such joys as Weight Watching, dating, doing chores to get your allowance, and other events. So let's have a look see. So that is Consume Me, available for Windows Mac, $14.99 US. System requirements, Windows 7 or later, x64 CPU, you shouldn't have to worry about that, 2GB RAM, OpenGL or DirectX 9 capable GPU, which is basically all in the last 20 years, and 3GB free space. Mac side, macOS 11, Big Sur, Apple or Intel CPU, 2GB RAM, 4GB GPU, and 3GB free space. So, Hades 2 by SuperGiant Games. This one entered early access in May 2024. The other big title of September, the dungeon crawling roguelike where you battle against the forces of Kronos, the Titan of Time, and empower your weapon with powers from the various Greek gods. My apologies for the mouse cursor, that is not part of the game. You'll have to bring your own mouse cursor. So.
Well, daughter of Hades, princess of the underworld, 'twould seem that you are finally prepared. But time itself is against us, and war has come to Mount Olympus. Shall you rush now to your family's defense? Or shall you strike our enemy in the heart of the underworld?
You know me, Headmistress. I'll do both. It's now or never.
We Witch which is often underestimated. But I am well aware how capable you are.
I have to be more than that. This family, they deserve their vengeance. But I cannot stop Kronos on my own. Will you aid me?
We got your back, sister, so just keep moving forward. Care for a little wager here? Bet I'll take more of them than you. Let's see how strong you really are.
Time would wear us down, but with patience, we can withstand him until our night arrives.
This is it.
Death to Kronos.
Death to Kronos.
So that one is for Windows and Mac, and in September it also launched on the Switch and the Switch 2. $29.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10, 64-bit, dual-core 2.4 GHz CPU, 8 GB RAM. The GPU is really not much to worry about. 10 GB free space. On the Mac side, pretty similar. Mac OS 12 Monterey, Apple M1 CPU and GPU, 8 GB of RAM, and 10 GB of free space. So yeah, not too bad. Just a little bit of space. Next up, and this one is the last one. Beat Block by Bubble Tabby. This one entered early access in September. A rhythm action game, it best blocks to the beat, and also has an inbuilt level editor to create your own visuals. It's expected to be in early access for just over a year. So let's have a look.
When a series of challenging songs
So that one is Beat Block, available for Windows, Mac and Linux, $14.99 US. System requirements are Windows 10 or higher, or Ubuntu 20.04, Intel Core i3 or an AMD CPU, 4 GB RAM, OpenGL 3.3 or higher capable GPU, which is, you shouldn't have to worry about that, and 1 GB free space. Still on the Mac side, 10.11 El Capitan, Apple or Intel CPU, 4 GB of RAM, OpenGL 3.3 or higher capable GPU, and 1 GB of free space. So thank you for watching. There'll be a shortened version out it's a short in a few days, and next time I'll be on time with this one. So thank you for watching. That was 20 games in September, and I'll see you next time.